today to talk to you about spring non-fiction. We did a Twitter poll, which if you follow us on Twitter, you'll know that I really love Twitter polls. I really like the validation. And the Twitter poll actually came up 50-50 split. So the Indie Bookshelf tour will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. But today I'm here to talk to you about spring non-fiction, which is what I would term kind of memoirs and non-fiction books that are about the outdoors or growing stuff or learning to do things in the outside world. I've got about 8 books here to talk to you about, so I'm going to talk quickly and I'm going to begin The Outrun by Amy Liptrot, which you've probably heard me talking about because I've ranted about it. I reviewed it on our blog and I've been talking about it everywhere since I read it in 2016, I think. It is amazing. It's Amy Liptrot's memoir of her recovery from alcoholism and how her return to her homelands of the Orkney Islands helped along the way with that. But it is part memoir and part nature writing. There's a lot in it about kind of wild swimming, uninhabited islands, stargazing, different types of birds. It's all sorts of things, and all the sorts of things that I wouldn't usually have thought that I was interested in. But then I read this book and it turns out that I am. Amy Liptrot's writing is beautiful. She writes about things she can make you interested in anything, I think. And the book, I've read it 4 or 5 times now and I still love it every time. It's amazing. You should read it immediately. Even if you don't think you like nature writing, you should read it. Okay, the second one that I have in this kind of nature memoir kind of style is Ruth Pavy's A Wood of One's Own, which is published by Duckworth Overlook. And this is has a beautiful cover, can I just say as well. This is I believe that the sketches inside were all drawn by the author herself. I'm just going to try and find some for you because there are some sketches in here and they are really pretty, like this. See, there we go. Yeah, they're really lovely. Anyway, this is Ruth Pavy's account of how she bought herself some woodland, and then it kind of goes through what she did after that, how she manages the woodland and the struggle she faces with that, and all the things kind of involved in managing land and the laws that go along with that, and the problems with trying to live on your land and build stuff on your land. And it's really beautifully written. It's really it's a really contemplative sort of book. It's really quiet and beautiful, and it will make you feel like you're in a wood, which is lovely this time of year. I think sometimes you just need a bit of time to sit still and think about things before rushing into the madness of summer, and this is a perfect book for that. So there's that. And then the last one I have in the kind of nature memoir vein is one that I actually just posted about on our Instagram. We're doing a hashtag which is 30 days of indie books at the moment, and this week we've been posting about books we're really excited to read, and this one arrived the day before we started. So this was my first post, and this is Waterfalls of Stars by Roseanne Alexander, and it's published by Seren Books, who are awesome, and you should all check them out. And this is beautiful hardback. I don't know if you can see, this is like really lovely, really sturdily built. This is a thing that's built to last. This appealed to me because it's the story of Roseanne Alexander and her boyfriend, now husband. Well, I say now, but anyway, they got married to work on the island. It's their time working on the island of Skoma as the wardens of it. It's an uninhabited island. It's a wildlife reserve sanctuary. And they lived there for 10 years, straight out of college. They weren't married and they had to be for the job because it was the 70s. So they had 10 days to get married, and that's about as far as I've got. I've read the first few pages and they're really good. So I have really high hopes for this. This is really interesting to me, and I'm really excited to see what their lives were like when they were living in such a remote way. Okay, so moving along, I have one that you probably all will have heard of in some way or other because there's a film of it and the book was wildly popular. That is Wild by Cheryl Strayed, and it's awesome. It's another memoir, but this one's about hiking. Just in case you haven't heard of it, I'll give you a quick little thing. So Cheryl Strayed decided in the wake of her mother's death and some other terrible things happening in her life that she wanted to hike the Pacific Crest Trail, which is a slightly lesser known trail in America. Because it's in America, it's long, like longer than we British people can probably comprehend. But it's usually kind of quite dangerous and you usually prepare for it quite a bit, and she didn't really prepare for it very much and just kind of went in and did it. But this book is amazing. It's cathartic, it's beautiful. It tells of everything that happened to her along the way, and her journey and her relationships with various people, and the trials that she faces and the challenges that she overcomes and the things that kind of defeat her for a bit. It's really raw and sad at times, but it's also really uplifting and really beautiful, and it's hyped up for a reason. It is really good. Cheryl Strayed's writing is awesome, so I highly recommend that you pick up a copy of this. It is published by Atlantic Books in the UK. I'm not sure that it's indie in the US, but yeah, it's a great book, so pick it up. And then in a more Britishy kind of vein of that, I have this, which I picked up from the library for this video, and this is published by Granta. It's called Coastlines, The Story of Our Shore by Patrick Barkham, and it is the story of Britain's coastline, basically, written in a very kind of chatty, informal sort of way, and I'm excited to read it. Personally, I really, really love our coast, and I have like a major in the future life ambition to kind of walk the whole of the British coastline. So yeah, this is a really cool book for me, but it sounds like it's going to be really good, and I will give you some feedback on that once I've read it. I've got just a couple more to go. Another one, my penultimate one, is one you probably also will have heard of because it received a lot of hype, at least in the book blogging world, when it first came out a few years ago now, and it's by Barbara Kingsolver, who is a fairly well-known novelist, and it's called Animal Vegetable Miracle, and it's about her year of, or her and her family's year of trying to kind of be self-sufficient, or eating local food, and food that they had grown on their own farm, and is about what that looked like for them. Lots of my friends, well, several of my friends, have said that they found this to be a bit preachy, just purely because Barbara Kingsolver is a fairly well-off person, and sometimes the way that she talks about what people can and can't afford to do in terms of supporting the local food industry is not necessarily reflective of what some people I know, and myself, to be honest, can actually afford to do. So there's that, but that taken into consideration, I do still really love this book. I actually have an asparagus bed in my allotment because she talked about how much she loves growing asparagus in this book, and it's actually been a real joy. So yeah, the book is really great. I really enjoy it, and it is also interspersed with kind of more scientific articles from her partner about the American food industry, and little bits from her daughter, who was a teenager at the time, with recipes to kind of use your crops up. It's become my annual read. Every time I feel spring in the air now, I kind of dig this out and gets me all inspired for growing stuff. So I would highly recommend that. It's published by Faber and Faber in the UK, and it's great. Okay, the last one I have to talk about is actually kind of less nature and more fairy tale, but we do like fairy tale here, so I'm going to slip it in anyway. I haven't read it yet, but I'm excited to. It is Gossip from the Forest by Sarah Maitland, and it is about the ways in which our forests are entwined in our culture and our folklore and fairy tales. Obviously, forests appear a lot in fairy tales. They have kind of their own, I wouldn't say persona, but yeah, I guess, yeah. So yeah, I'm really interested to read this on the history of that. And also the cover has like all this lovely silver like lines going through it. It's really, really pretty. So there's that. And that is the end of my stack for today. I know there are loads of this kind of book that I have missed out. So if you've got one that you particularly think is great that I should read, please do leave it in the comments, because I really, really would like more. I hope you've enjoyed this. We'll have a recipe video for you next week, because we haven't done one of those for a while. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Please tell your friends about us. We're really enjoying being here on YouTube. I mean, I do tend to like waffle on a bit, I know, but but I'm really enjoying it. And we hope you are too. Bye.